2 is already upon us, but last weekend's NFL kickoff has fans anxious for another round of games. Don't worry, Monk Spot is here to cater to all of those needs. So sit back and get ready for another dose of your weekly game day matchup. One of the teams featured last week gets a second run, this time on the spot. The San Francisco 49ers put their foot on the necks of the Los Angeles Rams, but this time around they must face a vengeful Superman in Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers fell short once again to daunt the Denver Broncos defense, being limited to just 14 points of offensive scoring. But I wouldn't expect the same results this time around, even though the 49ers played perfect defense against the Rams. I mean, come on, the Rams. But that's no knock on the Niners, as quarterback Blaine Gabbert was efficient enough behind the steady rushing attack of Carlos Hyde, scoring 2 touchdowns. And they could find success against a Panthers team that gave up over 90 rushing yards to C.J. Anderson. Look for Cam to bounce back in a passing game, utilizing his star wide receiver Kelvin Benjamin, who looked really good against a tough Broncos pass defense, and also his old veteran tight end, Greg Olsen. Riverboat Ron says he fell asleep watching the 49ers and Rams game, but I expect him to be wide awake as the Panthers get back on track, 27-21. Our next game features a rematch from the 2015 wildcard round. The Houston Texans will seek redemption from being shut out against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs won't be able to have their way with the Texans this time around, as the Texans are benefiting from better quarterback play in the services of Brock Osweiler. And the Brockweiler may be licking his chops over Chiefs defense that gave up over 380 yards last week. Credit the Texans offense once again, as Brock connected with 8 different receivers, as well as newly signed running back Lamar Miller amassing over 100 yards from the ground. Kansas City's passing attack exceeded expectations last week with over 300 yards, all in thanks to running back Spencer Ware replacing Jamal Charles while he recovers from ACL offseason surgery. The Texans present a big test for the Chiefs defense, with the likes of DeAndre Hopkins and rookie wide receiver Will Fuller. With a newly revamped offense and an airtight defense, the Texans savor the sweet victory over revenge in the close, 28-27. Showdown at Heinz Field features an AFC North showdown between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers. This game yields deep history as usual, as the Steelers and Bengals have duked it out since the early 1970s, with the Steelers holding a slight advantage, 56-35. Both teams' offenses were on full display in Week 1, most notably with their star wideouts A.J. Green and Antonio Brown. But the battle will take place in the trenches, and the focus is to see if the Cincinnati offensive line can rebound after giving up 7 sacks last week. This all spells with bad news for the Bengals facing the Steelers team that held a talented Redskins offense to just 16 points. Here's another current history lesson. Since Andy Dalton took over the starter for the Cincinnati Bengals, they are 3-9 against Big Ben and the Steelers. Give me Pittsburgh in a shootout, 34-28. The NFC East gets another go around here on the spot, as my Dallas Cowboys seek to right last week's wrongs against the Washington Redskins. Though Dallas came up short against the G-Man, they successfully ruled the time of possession. That's what they were looking for, right? Having the ball over 20 minutes. The Redskins, on the other hand, were exposed and were made one-dimensional, relying on a passing game after they averaged a grotesque 55 yards on the ground. Dallas will look to run the ball more with Ezekiel Elliott and Alfred Morris to keep Dak Prescott from having to throw the ball 45 times again, as well as implement a better game plan to involve wide receiver Dez Bryant, as he has the challenge of taking on cornerback Josh Norman. I fully expect the Cowboys to break their red zone woes from last week and flourish a lot better on offense behind their offensive line against a one-dimensional Redskins team. The Cowboys jump into the win column, 26-16. Monk Spot goes triple time with the division games this week. The Green Bay Packers take a trip to the Doomsday Battleship to take on the Minnesota Vikings. Last week I peaked against the Vikings, and their defense proved me wrong, forcing 3 turnovers and 2 sacks against the Tennessee Titans. It could give them a slight edge since Aaron Rodgers took a while to get going last week, but Rodgers still looked Roger-esque, reconnecting with fellow wideout Jordy Nelson. Quarterback Sean Hill was serviceable against the Titans, but I look for them to once again lean on the services of Adrian Peterson, who was held to just 30 yards on the ground. But AP will be tested again against the Packers' run defense that gave up less than 50 yards. It's difficult for any team to bet against the 2-time NFL MVP Aaron Rodgers on any given Sunday. Rodgers gets the discount double check on the win against the Vikings, 27-17. Guys, it's another dose of your weekly game day matchups. Comment, rate, subscribe, drop me a like. We definitely appreciate it. It's Monk Spot, a new favorite place.